how good is the all-new BMW 5 Series and how does it rate against the main competitors, Mercedes E-Class or the electric one, the Mercedes EQE? We're going to find out here today in our extensive driving review with Thomas Nautical in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go. Here you can see all the 5 Series version, no matter if electric or petrol or diesel or plug-in hybrid, will more or less look the same. They're building on the very same platform. And here on our channel, we'll keep you updated with all the different versions. This one here is the i5 M60. So this is the M Performance model, and also with the M Sport Package Pro. That means the black frame around the double kidney. And also here the M logo. Lower part also, when you have the normal M Sport package, looks sportier here. And mineral white is this exterior color. We have more colors for you. One of my favorite colors is here the frozen pure gray. There's also a deep frozen gray available. It would be a little bit darker, but here in the bright one, I think, yeah, this is what I really like. The matte paints here, by the way, you can always hear it when you feel them actually. The advantage is actually that they look cool, yes, and when it rains, it almost gets cleaned by itself. The disadvantage is when you have minor scratches, you cannot really easily, polish them or so, then you just have to repaint. So that's the downside. Well, and then another pro and con, the extra price here from a German configurator is 3,750 euros. But then again, all the matte paints are now bio-based. So when you pick a matte paint, it is actually more sustainable. So you can say like, when you argue at home, yeah, I need to go for the matte paint because, more sustainable and so on. And this is here the i5 M60 in fire red, so different color. Of course, you can also get all the colors for all the different powertrains. And this is also equipped with some more carbon fiber details, for example, at the side mirror. Or also in the rear, you can see this small spoiler in carbon fiber. And one more color for you is Brooklyn Gray, also one of my favorite colors. And here we can also see the direct comparison. Here with our i5 M50 and the M Sport Package Pro, we have the outer frame in black, and also here the inside part looks a little bit different. And here, this one here is the eDrive 40, so that means the rear-wheel drive standard or base electric version, base i5. And then this one only has the M Sport Pack. That means we have the sportier lower accentuations, but the outer kidney frame is still then bright. I think that really looks better. And also the inside of the double kidney, I think just looks more classic BMW here with the vertical fins. So if you ask me, compare this styling here, right, or it's on your left, right, on your left and to this right. So on your left, the styling, I like this one way better than this one here. What do you think? Tell me in the comments. Here, when I give a little bit of shade to the front double kidney, you can get this optional, the iconic glow. Then the frame is also illuminated. Adaptive LED main headlamp unit, then the daytime running light here, or when you hit the turning indicators or hazard lights, they replace it and have this pulsing effect. And turning indicators in the rear, very wide. Yeah, this is definitely visible. The length is now at 5 meters 6 or 199 inches. That's 10 centimeters or 4 inches longer than the predecessor. Wheels from 18 inch to maximum 21. These are the biggest 21-inch wheels in this M design. Really impressive indeed. And you can also get these black contrasts here, the side mirrors, also in the lower part. You can see it has a very high contrast, especially to the mineral white color. In general, if you compare the BMW to the Mercedes, whereas Mercedes, both with the E-Class and also especially with the EQE, the EV version, goes more in the round direction. This one here more has this classic German angular styling. Very nice indentation here of the 5 logo, by the way. What do you think about the design, and also especially if you compare it to the competitors? Typical 3-box sedan styling, I like it, and also the angular shapes, really widely drawn tail lamps. And as for technology, let's start with the suspension. You have base suspension. You can go for an M Sport suspension, a fixed one. Also comes with the M Sport Pack. You can also optionally go for the Adaptive Suspension Professional. That one always comes in a package with adaptive dampers and also rear exit steering. Goes 2.5 degrees in the opposite direction than the front wheels, reduces the turning circle. And for the M60 here, you can get the Adaptive M Suspension Professional. That one also adds an anti-tilt control that it stays more upright. And to be even more specific, the i5, so all the electric versions And the plug-in hybrids, because of more weight on the rear axle, always also get air suspension at the rear axle. And this vehicle here is also mineral white, but it does not have the M Sport Pack. That means there's no black accentuations here. Here we have the air curtain, wind goes through there, and a little bit cleaner look all around, less sporty maybe, but I feel it maybe looks even a little bit sleeker that way without the M Sport package. Or what do you think? And also a crucial difference, this one here without the M Sport Pack and also in the eDrive 40 version, so let's say the base electric version, has a CD value of 0.23. Whereas the i5 M60 has 0.25. So there is a big difference in aerodynamics. And this one here is also 170 kilograms lighter because you only have the electric motor at the rear axle. So in our driving part later on, we'll do a comparison of consumption between the all-wheel drive and the rear-wheel drive model. And we'll also do a special feature on the highway assistance system. So there's a new autonomous driving feature where I just drive with my hands off and it's even allowed. So more to come in the driving part very soon. Super interesting also here in the side profile. First of all, 20-inch wheels, so a little bit smaller, but still large, right? And then here we have chrome frames around the windows, a little bit more classic styling here also with the 5 indentation. And also in the lower part here, not a high gloss black in this non-super sporty version. And I think that's even more curious. Look at that, when the light is shimmering right here, these structures inside, you can really feel it and see how the light is changing. So I feel that this styling is even cooler and fits the vehicle more. What do you think? And the rear of the base version, especially here in the lower part, here a little bit more silver contrast, and then you have a rather matte black in the lower part, whereas the M Sport versions would once again have this high gloss black diffuser style. So here once again a little bit more subtle, and I really have to say, really fell in love with this more simple styling here. This is the BMW app, and here we can show you that remote parking is possible, tap and hold. So for example, when it would be in a narrow parking lot or something, I can just control the car by my phone. So no one is driving here. I'm not faking it. So here I can press backward. There we go. There. And then I can ease the car out. So let's think about you have maybe like an old parking garage that is really narrow where you can hardly open the doors because it was built for more narrow cars. That's the easy way. And then you can also take your car for a walk. Oh, good boy, good boy. Yeah, he was early in dog school, and really learned to drive by my side. I love that feature. To open and close the vehicle, use the smartphone app, or you can also use the classic key fob. I'm glad it's still the choice. Then here on the left side is from metal here in the M Sport or in the M60. So it's actually heavier, interesting actually. Flush door handles here, but they still give a haptic feedback when you open them like this. So at the moment the car is closed, there we go, there it's open. You just need to hold the smartphone in your hand, it's also possible. Door closing sound. Yeah, I love that, let's do it again. Beautiful, very solid door closing sound. Inside of the doors, soft touch material, all structured, then it's even softer here a little bit for the elbows. And the window levers, they are mainly just black plastic, just have this, this contrast on the top part. And you can see here this interior bar already begins right here, and there you can set the memory seating and so on, optional Bowers & Wilkins sound system. This one here is also the M Sport interior, which is also standard for the M60. Then you have the M steering wheel with the contrast stitches on the inside, sportier form. However, this one then is still animal material. The base steering wheel would also be vegan. That's also a step forward now. Then the seats, either you get sport seats as standard, I'm soon going to show you them, or these here are the optional comfort seats. They are a little bit more open in the upper area and also a little bit more comfy in the lower area. What I love, by the way, here, look at that. This is the lengthenment for the lower seating area. I pulled it all the way out and there is no gap left. So when you pull it out, there's no gap left where you can, have like crumbles inside or whatever. So it's easy to clean and looks also clean. This is also the Veganza material, so it's completely animal-free, super soft, and also as durable or even a little bit more durable than the animal skin alternative. And the seating comfort is indeed superb. So one of the best at the moment in the sedan segment. Same material is used in the 7 Series, by the way. The only difference is that the 7 Series might have a little bit higher Einsitzhöhe, listen and repeat, Einsitzhöhe, so a little bit more dampening underneath. The main thing is that both are available also here, perforation and also with the ventilation. That's, I think, pretty cool. The sport seat have a little bit more side support if you drive sport here. These here, however, the comfort seats will deliver more comfort. So overall, I think I would go for these here. As for headroom with 189 or 6'2", still have headroom left here. This then the one with the glass roof and I have to push it forward actually because it rolls in the front, so you have more headroom in the rear. So this one you have fixed glass roof, but with the shade when it gets really hot. I think it's very important. As an alternative, I heard that the US market still gets a small roof that you can actually also open. It won't be all the way then, but at least you can still open it. But there are always pros and cons about all different kinds of fixed roof, fixed glass roof, and also the openable glass roof. This could actually fill an hour itself talking about the pros and cons there. And these here are the sport seats as they would be standard for the M Sport Pack or for the M60. Here you can see the Veganza on the interior, sport seat form, perforation, and on the sides here in the top part, there you have Alcantara inserts. And they are also perforated, and the M colors here, red, blue and the bright blue, they shine basically from the background. And the same also accounts for the head restraint, Alcantara covering, perforated, and also with this shiny background. Interior cockpit overview, you have this curved screen, but then 12.3 on the left, 14.9 inch on the right side. You have also, you can get this one here, this light bar, this ambient light bar, and it also switches according to the driving modes. For example, if you go to the sport mode, then here it turns red. The only thing I don't really understand, and it's better in the 7 Series, for example, here, this split. I think a light bar would need to go through on the very same horizontal level. Here it's kind of like here, and oh, where is it? Ah, there it continues. You know what I mean? Here you can also get a carbon fiber decal element, but also different decal elements are available. Soft touch on the top dashboard, and so much different, for example, to a Mercedes E-Class interior or a Mercedes EQE. So the layout is really very different. Steering wheel still with some physical buttons. It's a mix, so to speak. Right side here for the volume. BMW OS 8.5. Here, different home screen as well. And then you also have this app view where you can access everything. Yeah, it's really a lot. You have a YouTube app now. You can watch Bundesliga, and you also have the Air Console games for some gaming experiences, for example. And vehicle apps is always, for example, interesting because in the live vehicle app, there you also have the consumption data and so on. Then the Apple CarPlay integration looks like this, wireless, both also for Android Auto. And you can also have the maps here in the left instrument screen. Here, the climate unit is always in the lower part, and it's actually very cool here, the cool seats for the Veganza perforated material. However, to access them, actually, it's more complicated than with physical controls. Digital instruments, when I start up the vehicle, you have this startup sound, and then simple and clean, left side speed, right side then the power, or then here for the electric version you can see also the recharging. And you can also change the whole content you want to see in the middle part. That's possible. Also then, like Apple Maps and so on. This is the car internal map. And you can also get a proper head-up display. In the front you have inductive charging pad, here also with some cooling holes. However, the disadvantage is it looks like two, but just the left side is for the recharging. The right side is just for storage basically. Then adaptive cup holders, two USB-C chargers, and we have still this control lever here. There you can also control the infotainment system while driving, and it also has a nice sound and still a normal volume jog right here. I like that. Here, this is where you control the driving modes. This is to me a little bit too complicated to do that while driving because you have to click here and then in touchscreen, or then use this one. So a separate control for that would be better, I feel. And we have this split opening. I always like that for the storage right there. And listen to that, also with a nice closing sound. And here now, this is also the animal-free steering wheel. It has different styling. We know it from the BMW iX because the iX had this form, and now will also get as an update also the animal-free material. It feels a little bit different, but very similar. You wouldn't know it actually, if you didn't, if no one told you before. I feel it feels even a little bit softer. And as I said earlier, it is tested on at least the same durability, actually. So it looks a little bit more futuristic, I feel. The other one, the M Sport, looks a little bit more sporty, definitely, but both have something, definitely. But this one, of course, then more animal-friendly. And very interesting tip, by the way. You might remember this new EU law that when you exceed the speed, there's always this beeping and so on for very new vehicles. Mercedes were the first one to introduce a hotkey when you hold the mute key. Here they did it in a similar way. So there's an exclusive information for you now. Here, set, that works on both steering wheels. Set and hold a little bit while driving. Then also this, the special assistant that is always beeping is deactivated. However, you have to set it each time the car starts up again. When you shut down the vehicle, start again, that is actually mandatory by law. That's the only thing that manufacturers can do, is activate these hotkeys or short ways solutions to deactivate it quickly again. And here, by the way, also different decor element. This is like a dark wood with, this shiny cover. Also not too bad. I usually prefer matte open cell thing, but yeah, definitely more decor elements are available, of course. And here you can also see how this different steering wheel looks in the whole cockpit setting. Rear seating area, it does fit 4 tall Ls also in the rear, but it is a pain of this segment that also counts for the competitors, that considering the exterior length, you don't have so much space for your legs in the rear. Again, considering the package. However, it would fit even better when I put the front seat a little bit higher. Then the recess here at the back part of the seat would fit better, would fit better for the knees and also for my feet underneath the seat. What I found quite cool is that here we just have a USB-C charger and an iPad holder. It's actually a very easy and simple solution. The seating comfort itself is really good because of the soft material. This Veganza material is actually softer than the animal skin counterpart, and it is actually also in the passive way more breathable. I had recently a direct test, so they don't get too hot that easily. Then in the front you also have the ventilation. Here in the middle part, cup holders, they are adaptive, so I'm also happy here with the build quality and so on. You can also fold down this ski hatch right here. Oh, there's my lunch bag. See you later, lunch bag. And then in the lower part we have a climate unit that is all digital. It looks clean, however. Yeah, I do prefer always manual climate knobs, you know that. But I think it's reasonably simple. You can also get rear seat heating, as you can see, and 2 more USB-C chargers. And just as a proof, so because they pull in this shade for the glass roof in the front, I still have headroom here also in the rear for tall passengers. And not to forget, also soft touch here for the rear doors on the inside. As for the trunk, wait a minute, what does as have to do with the trunk? As for the trunk or the boot, let's open it. We have 490 liters for the i5 or 520 liters for the combustion engine models. And you can see here, it's a little bit less than 1 meter or 40 inches in width. And the length is actually more than 40 inches or a meter. It's like 112 or 44 inches. So the difference is also the lower part. If you have a combustion engine model, then this one here is a little bit lower, but there's no space underneath. If you have a plug-in or i5, then you have some space underneath, but it's a little bit higher overall. And you can also fold the seats, unlock them right here and here, but then you either have to push it with the luggage, that's possible, or have to go around, then you can also load through. Does it frunk or not here in the electric versions? Let's lift it. No, it does not, but wow, largest engine cover ever. Here also with some M carbon fiber styling. At least it looks good, but some frunk would have been cool, wouldn't it? Then let's talk about the different engine specs. Overall, the acceleration figure for the new 5 Series ranges from 7.5 seconds, slowest, to 3.8 seconds. That is this one here, the i5 M60. Maybe later there will also be something else, like a true M version. We'll keep you updated with that. And there will also be a touring version if the sedan is not enough for you. Overall, there are pure petrol, pure diesel, plug-in hybrid petrol, and the all-electric versions. The full engine lineup is really very wide. We have it in the pinned comment and also in the video description for you that you can check it out. Electric specific, you get a battery of 81 kilowatt hours net. What concerns range we can score with that, we're going to find out today in our driving test later on. As for recharging, less than 30 minutes from 10 to 80% state of charge. Difference in the two versions so far, as a rear-wheel drive version only, that one then around 6 seconds in the acceleration figure, or this one here, the all-wheel drive electric version, the M60 with 3.8 seconds in the acceleration figure, then one electric motor per axle, but the rear one will always be the stronger one. And there will also be an all-wheel drive electric version coming up, which is not the M version, so something in between. And now to the driving part of the all-new 5 Series. Oh wait, wrong vehicle. Acceleration first, i5 M60 all-wheel drive, 3.8 seconds in the acceleration figure officially. And what can we score? We go here to the sport mode. You can see here already the red accentuations. We use this empty parking lot. Let's go. Oh, that was 90. Whoo! Whoo! And you also heard the iconic sounds. So that is then whoo, that you have this sound feedback as well, because there's obviously no sound feedback from the engine there. Wait a minute. If you ask yourself now, is that possible even quicker? Yes, it is. If I hold the boost pedal while rolling already, that is possible. Or if I do now standstill and launch control, left pedal here with my left foot, right pedal with my right foot. With the launch control and the boost function, you can get a little bit more torque even out of this vehicle. Let's try and see the difference. Michel? Oh, Michel bailed now. Obviously that was too much for him. No, to be honest, he's filming it from the outside for a reel. Anyway, let's go. Oh, that was more than 100 already. Whew! Wow, I mean, super quick in both cases, definitely. Here, just a little notch. An interesting thing is, you don't get more horsepower, but just a little bit more torque out of the boost function, or then here the launch control, here boost function. Then for 10 seconds, I have this extra boost always available. Yeah. Again, launch control only when stationary, boost then also while rolling already. Whew. Wow. Was there any difference? We have to check the time codes, but it also might vary then depending on where you are exactly. And then we continue driving uphill here. Wow, that's really a lot of artificial sound. However, you can also turn that off. I can also show that to you very soon, no problem. Here, one more time, uphill. It doesn't even feel like going uphill because you have so much power here. Wow. Amazing. Then, hammering the turning indicator. That's always a lot of fun. Let's just do it one more time. Ah, that sounds beautiful. And you can also accelerate out of the corner here very well. Look at how calm the steering remains. So you accelerate very hard, but you remain in control all the time. That's really cool. Then the steering feel, let's see, here in the sport mode. Reactions also from the low degree angle actually, and also how it gets to the outside. Yeah, it feels actually quite cool. Let's see the difference in the driving modes. Yeah, switching the driving modes is actually not that easy to do, I feel. Always have to go this and then that one. So here, normal personal driving mode. Yeah, it's a little bit softer then. Let's go back. My mode's in sport again. Yeah, then I have a little bit more feedback then. So overall, quite happy with that.
Did you also hear the side bolsters?
Side bolsters, with the
sports mode.
So yeah, good remark from Michel. Yeah, in the personal mode gets a little bit wider, and in the sport mode, yeah, they close a little bit in. That's actually a nice feature. Yeah, it's pretty cool actually. Nice. So slalom-wise, stays really upright. Here we have the adaptive M suspension. That means dampers are adaptive, and there's also the anti-tilt control in the rear. And since this is the i5, we also have the rear axle air suspension. So yeah, suspension-wise is not a very easy logic here. There are so many different choices, so that's why I also went in depth to explain all of that. And we also have the 21-inch wheels here mounted, so the biggest ones that are available. So far the road is quite even and nice and so on. But let's also find out about the bumps and so on, if it gets really uncomfortable or something. But so far he's actually quite nice, and the car feels lighter and sportier than the size or the weight might suggest. That's of course always something they want to achieve. These red traffic lights they probably only put here in Portugal that you can do another sprint. Yeah, the truth is they turn red when you're driving too fast. I want to show you here my modes. When we're just in the personal mode and then accelerate, you feel it's just a little bit then, So when you're in sport mode, it's more enhanced, and also when you hit the throttle a little bit harder, then it is even more enhanced. To turn that off, actually, do stuff like this while driving is always a little bit, I don't know. Then you have to search for that. You are in the vehicle apps, and it's driving settings, and then here iconic sounds off here. By that, and even when I then go into the sport mode, I would then accelerate. You see, there's just nothing. And if you prefer this or that, it's really a matter of personal preference. So tell me, would you actually like it completely silent, or would you actually prefer to have these iconic sounds on? There we go. And especially in sports mode. I mean, when you don't hammer it that hard, then it's quite okay. So you can live with that in everyday driving life. No problem at all. So how does it feel from the previous generation 5 Series? Although this one here is the electric one and the battery, and there wasn't a full electric one in the previous generation, they managed actually by that suspension setup and all the fine tunings that it does not feel heavier. So that is to me one of the key findings. And you might remember our i7 versus 7 Series review where we compared the petrol and the electric one, and BMW really manages that their vehicles, when they're in the electric version or the combustion engine versions, more or less feel the same. There is indeed not much difference in driving fun, agility and so on. And that's, I think, a very, very good achievement. Remember with Mercedes, comparing that, E-Class versus EQE, they used a completely different platform. Yes, they also share parts, but there they really split their electric thing and their combustion engine thing, whereas BMW has this approach here to react a little bit quicker to the changing demand, that they put everything on one platform. So then again, the wind efficiency here is not the best, especially if you go for one here in the M Sport. So the CD value indeed varies a lot according to the package or the version you have on the exterior here with the 5 Series. So that might be also some tricky thing. If you want to have it more efficient while driving, do not go for the M Sport Pack. The non-M Sport Pack versions, the base versions, will be more aerodynamic. Very important to know for that. We will later on also drive the rear-wheel drive pure version. Then you can also compare the acceleration and so on. Of course, here you can use the power at any time, but you don't have to, actually, if you don't want to. The overall driving feeling here is very calm and collected. It is that typical business sedan we know from BMW. And if you compare it now to the 7 Series, for example, how can you really compare that as for the driving feeling? It is actually kind of similar. The 7 Series feels bigger, feels heavier. Here, the seats already deliver superb comfort. Maybe the 7 Series seats are a little bit more plush as for the so-called Einsitzhöhe, as I said. But here you pay so much less money, although it's not a cheap vehicle at all, but you already get some kind of 7 Series feeling. So I feel that the difference between 5 and 7 Series has also become now a little bit closer with this generation. At the same time, you have somewhat the agility of the 3 Series. Also, like with the Mercedes E-Class, I feel that E-Class and 5 Series in their model lineup overall are somewhat the sweet spot. That becomes obvious, especially while driving these ones here. Then let's here test always some assistance systems on the countryside road. I have set the active cruise control. So this is primarily meant to do on the motorway. We'll also give you a special insight on that as for the automatic lane change and this autonomous feature. But here when you set it like on a normal tone, even here on the countryside road, where it's not like the specialty usually meant for the motorway driving, it follows the lane very well. It keeps the car centered even if you don't steer it yourself. So the elaboration of the assistance system is really on a high level already. Noise insulation wise, it's also super silent in here. Later again with a little bit higher speed, but here at lower speeds you hardly hear anything from the outside environment. It really gives you a very, very calm feeling, together with the superb comfort here of the Veganza seats. And even if you wouldn't have seat cooling, they would remain quite cool. But here I can, for example, set like level 1 of seat cooling by that. This is, by the way, also an advantage if you compare it to the 7 Series. The 7 Series actually does not offer seat ventilation together with the perforated Veganza seats. Strange decision, definitely, but you have it here with the 5 Series. So, yeah, I mean, even going long mileage here, I can very well imagine that. Great, now we've found a destroyed road that is about to be redone. Therefore, it's really bumpy and so on. But remember, 21-inch wheels, and usually these large wheels mean no comfort at all, So I always say like go for smaller wheels, but here, although it's a destroyed road, it feels like nothing. So I'm really impressed by this suspension. I mean, it's not a full air suspension, even here in the electric one or the plug-in hybrid and so on. It is just the rear axle air suspension, but you don't feel that. It is still a very comfortable ride. So the adaptive dampers here by BMW have always been very good. They have been so good that usually you do not miss an air suspension. So even if you would have a combustion engine version where you have no rear axle air suspension and so on, they would do absolutely fine. Of course, base suspension would also be interesting in the test later on. Usually these test vehicles here are very, very high spec. But here with the adaptive suspension, not only does it fulfill sporty purposes, you also consider how it's not getting super loud, although there was this construction work here. So sporty side definitely did deliver, but also here on the comfort side, yeah, and if you want it even softer, then you would indeed go with a little smaller wheels. 21-inch wheels also have the disadvantage that they sometimes get easily scratched and so on, So I would maybe like 20 as a maximum compromise or something, but yeah, because 21 is definitely super, super large. More features here, for example, augmented reality feature. I have here the camera view and also an arrow then. Right here when I have the car internal GPS set, so there's this displayed arrow that they have to turn around, and here we can also experience the rear axle steering. So although the car is long, has a long wheelbase and so on, rear axle steering makes it really possible to have narrow turning circles. That's actually pretty cool. And you also feel that the rear comes a little bit around, so to speak, so that these guys pass. There we go. And also when you accelerate out, for example, you feel, it doesn't feel too artificial in this case because they don't have the widest degree angle. And there's always a discussion, when you have a wider angle, it feels a little bit more artificial. Then again, you can reduce the turning circle more. So they didn't want to exaggerate it in a way. But still, it's a very cool feature to have. At low speeds, you feel it. When you drive a little bit faster, it moves in the parallel direction anyway. So then you wouldn't have this effect. You have more stability than in this case. But definitely very cool feature to have it to make life a little bit easier, especially when parking in and out and so on. And yeah, it doesn't take anything away from the fun while driving. Noise insulation when being here on the motorway, around 120 kilometers an hour, so like 70 miles an hour. It's really good. Here the tarmac is a little bit rougher. Here a little bit more tire noise. The one we were on before was a little bit less. Will change soon again. But the overall, wind noise and so on is really low. Feels super comfortable. This vehicle here, I switched the vehicle now just to test some more variety, is by the way equipped with these sport seats. They are also good, but definitely I feel it now, especially on long motorway journeys, rather take the comfort seats. They just bring you that extra amount of comfort. These ones here are a little bit stiffer, so the comfort seats a little bit softer than in the dampening. So they overall just give you more comfort, and especially since you have this electric feature where in the sport mode, for example, they get a little bit closer. It's also not a problem that they in general have a little bit less side support than the ones I'm sitting on here. So my choice would be the comfort seats, and then probably in the bright Veganza. And we're also testing the assistance systems, and there's big news coming up right now. First of all, here you know the adaptive cruise control and the active lane keeping assist, told you about that. But now it's also possible to get an extra package for the Plus package. And in front of us is also a vehicle. And first of all, I can take my hands off, and I can also look into the mirror, look to the left to initiate a lane changing actually automatically. Let's see, let's try it again here. There we go. So I'm looking into the side mirror and the car is automatically changing the lane. I did not do anything with my hands. I just looked into the mirror. What is not possible is that I just look into the mirror right now and then the car is changing the lane. That doesn't work that way. So the car first has to give me the offer that situation is ready to do that. You might ask yourself, why would that be necessary in a way here overall? I mean, it is a little bit more relaxed just to keep your hands down, and it is not meant that you take out your smartphone or something and start texting or whatever. So because it's still level 2, that means you are still responsible. So when I have an accident, it's my responsibility. Difference to the level 3 autonomous driving that Mercedes, for example, is offering. There the car isn't responsible. However, that one is restricted to 60 kilometers an hour, like 30 miles an hour. Here, however, this one works until 130 kilometers an hour or 80 miles an hour. And that's, of course, a better usage because I can also do it here at higher speeds here on the motorway. It will be allowed so far in the US, in Canada, and also in Germany. In Germany, they also got a special allowance for that. That is also something very new because so far it is not allowed at all. Here now you can see a car changes into our lane. The vehicle is doing that very well, and yeah, I'm really impressed how smooth the whole system is working. So there are no hectic movements. Everything goes via the flow, and sometimes, you need to get used to these systems, or you may be like, I don't really trust in the vehicle or so. But because everything is so smooth and controlled, you really have full trust in the vehicle, and don't think, oh my god, what's going on? No, it's actually kind of relaxing, really. So the ambulancia is not moving over. It is kind of weird, The last time I've driven. Check traffic to switch so that I can check it. So I go over. Yeah, there we go. So the last time I've driven in such autonomous way, and it was at that point legal in Germany, actually was with the Tesla Model S, and that was 10 years ago. Then they realized that wasn't really up to, they couldn't really do that in all situations. So that was disallowed then. But now we are back here. Autonomous driving is still a long way ahead, definitely, to go fully autonomous, and also that the car is doing that all on its own. But here, this is definitely one of the next steps, and it works here at reasonable speeds, So, definitely more relaxing to keep my hands down, and maybe a little bit easier than when you're talking to someone, maybe to the camera, for example. So. Now someone is overtaking us. We also have a blind spot monitor, by the way. For my information, definitely not maybe necessary for the car yet. But once again, looking here, I can't do the change. And when the next car would be in front of us, we need to overtake. Then again, I can do the next overtaking action. So overall, I think the system works very, very well. So you might wonder, why is this actually allowed? And how do they keep track of the driver? Because, I'm not supposed to take my smartphone and so on. I'm actually being tracked by the vehicle, and this works by analyzing my head and my eyes. And when the car, for example, detects that I'm really super distracted, we can try that out, right? Maybe I do I just pretend to, use my smartphone. There we go. Driver distraction detected, stay attentive. So then, there we go. Oh, sorry. I'm still here. So you see, that works really, really quickly. And we can do another test actually. So now I'm closing one of my eyes. I'm still looking. And there's this infrared sensor. And it even works with sunglasses actually. I can also show that very soon. But first of all here, one eye closed is okay. But now I'm doing something that's not allowed. I just do it for you. I trust the vehicle just with my eyes closed. Don't do this, don't try it at home. Just want to check that. There we go. So the car is saying, like, you know, first warning. And if I would then continue that, then it would actually at some time abort and also hit the brake automatically and so on and so on. And yeah, what about this could be like a use case, you know, where I can, for the first time, then also like change my glasses quickly like this. I don't need any help. So now sunglasses. See, there's no difference. Only if I would close my eyes behind my sunglasses, then again, it would be a problem. So yeah, very interesting how these systems are working technologically. But you see that they are really working very flawlessly. First consumption test, we ended up with about 19 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers. That's 3.3 miles per kilowatt hour. So that would mean a real world concise range of 430 kilometers or 270 miles. Now this is super interesting. Remember, with the i5 M60, our consumption was like 19 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers, so a little bit more than 3 miles per kilowatt hour. It was a little bit worse when we had more motorway share. Now actually went to the eDrive 40 pure rear-wheel drive, and we scored some 17 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers. That's 3.6 miles per kilowatt hour. So clearly better. So 2.5 kilowatt hours on 1 kilometers better. So yeah, that's, you know, like 3/4 of a mile per kilowatt hour better. That means with the all-wheel version, a realistic range of 430 kilometers or 250, 270 miles. And here with the rear-wheel drive only version, the eDrive 40, we are at 480 kilometers of realistic range. That's about 300 miles. And that means when you go this eDrive 40, you gain about 50 kilometers or 30 miles of range. That means, and if you also think about the, you know, everyday usage and so on, and that the rear-wheel drive only version is also a lot of fun and way less expensive. If you go for the electric 5 Series, definitely this one here, the eDrive 40, is way to go. So as for styling, I'm definitely here with the base look and not with the M Sport. It also has something definitely here, you know, but I prefer it a little bit less sinister, but a little bit more classy. I think it fits the vehicle a little bit better. Interior, especially the best comfort here with the seats. I think also best in segment if you go with the comfort seats. So also the setup we had with this vehicle here, the Veganza comfort seats. And then also here the vegan steering wheel is also available. They are also pushing forward in that respect. That is also really, you can just applaud them for them actually. Then as for driving, it is so engaging still. And even the rear-wheel drive version, more power than you ever need basically already. Of course the all-wheel drive version is really the performance car. But I think especially if you look at the efficiency factor, if you go for the i5, then this eDrive 40 is way to go because it just gives you this extra mileage, this extra range you might need. In comparison to the Mercedes E-Class or the Mercedes EQE, I feel especially the E-Class has this typical E-Class floaty ride, whereas the 5 Series more goes into the engaging ride. This is like the main difference. Other than that, they are actually in the segment very similar, but then again, exterior, interior, way different. But not in a way of that one is super much better than the other one, more in a way of personal preference a lot actually. The biggest difference indeed is that the BMW here, no matter if combustion engine, plug-in, the mix between all, then the i5 is always on the same platform, whereas the Mercedes split in Mercedes E-Class and the EQE, they are also a little bit different to each other once again. Very interesting now to compare, for example, the Mercedes E-Class, or if you want to go EV, with the EQE.